it's Jack from Cultaholic.com here with another news update. Now, there's so much news today, and also I have to do AEW Dynamite Graded, that we have split the news videos. So in this one, I'll be talking about all the WWE and WrestleMania-based shenanigans that you may have seen floating around on the internet, some huge updates there, and then I believe Tom is going to be taking all the goings-on in Dynamite as well. And in both news videos, we'll be sprinkling in some news from elsewhere in the wrestling world too. And of course, I'll give my thoughts on Dynamite in Graded. So without any further ado, let's take a look at these massive headlines. First of all, WrestleMania 36 will be taking place over 2 days. WWE have also confirmed the use of multiple locations for the Showcase of the Immortals. And finally, one WWE superstar in particular seems quite unhappy at being left out from the updated WrestleMania poster. All that and more in just a second. So yes, WWE have confirmed that WrestleMania this year will take place over 2 consecutive days for the first time in the event's entire history. The event is set to take place from 7 p.m. Eastern on both Saturday the 4th of April and Sunday the 5th of April. Now, what this means for NXT TakeOver, we don't actually know, but we did see the other day that the Hall of Fame ceremony may be being moved to SummerSlam weekend. Now, this is obviously huge news. It's the first time in WrestleMania's entire history that the event will take place over more than one day. There's been a lot of talk before, a lot of theorizing in the past few years about maybe just naturally extending WrestleMania to a 2-day event, because recently we've seen those cards go very long, sometimes for feels like about 7 or 8 hours, and by the end, the crowd are sometimes a little bit burnt out, understandably so. And in fact, New Japan Pro Wrestling did something very similar with their WrestleMania equivalent, Wrestle Kingdom, this year, which did take place over 2 days. But afterwards, they did say this won't be an annual thing. It was more of a one-off. But it did spark a lot more discussion about WWE possibly doing the same sort of thing. And this year, I guess more because of overriding circumstances than in any way attempting to copy New Japan, it looks like they're taking the same approach. And not only that, but the host of WrestleMania has been confirmed, and it is set to be former NFL megastar and New England Patriot tight end Rob Gronkowski. And also, he's Mojo Rawley's best friend, isn't he? He's going to be hosting the event on both the 4th and the 5th across both days. And this is very apt because it was recently revealed that Gronkowski will be stepping into a WWE ring. He's the latest in quite a line of, I guess, celebrity signees from elsewhere in the world of sports, including, of course, Ronda Rousey and Cain Velasquez. And WWE made that official on SmackDown last week when Mojo Rawley appeared at the commentary desk alongside Triple H and Michael Cole to confirm that Gronk will be appearing. And it looks as though he will be on the SmackDown brand, I'm assuming, and Mojo seems to have been quietly shuffled across there as well, so he can be with his best friend. And then Michael Cole was quite hilariously jostled by both Triple H and Mojo Rawley, who told him to just get so hype. Just get hype, Michael. Get so hype indeed. And WWE have gone one step further and have even confirmed where some of the matches are going to fall across that weekend. So, on day 1 of WrestleMania 36, as surreal as that sounds, we're going to see 4 confirmed matches at least. That is going to be Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. We're also going to see Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. We're also going to see that NXT Women's Championship match between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. And we're also going to see AJ Styles take on The Undertaker. That's a pretty stacked day 1, if you ask me. And then 3 confirmed matches for day 2 on Sunday the 5th of April. They are John Cena versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt, Becky Lynch defending her Raw Women's Championship against Shayna Baszler, and of course the one we've all been waiting for, Goldberg defending his Universal Championship against the big dog, Roman Reigns. But that's not all, because it's been reported by multiple news sources that WrestleMania won't just take place across 2 consecutive days, it will also take place across multiple venues. This is the first time that WWE will have used multiple venues for WrestleMania since WrestleMania 2. Now, that of course took place across 3 separate venues, one in New York, one in Illinois, and one in California, but we don't know exactly how many locations are going to be used across this year's 2-day event. Now, there are multiple reasons why WWE may have taken this approach, so we're going to take a look at a report from Mike Johnson of PW Insider, who seems to have outlined 2 pretty big reasons why this may be the case. First of all, he says the multiple dates and locations will actually make production easier for WWE, as they have been very careful about having a certain number of talent/staff on hand at TV tapings at the Performance Center, which is why you're seeing big names cycled out on the show. So there was Edge this week, Randy Orton next week, but not, in the same sort of week, just because you want to keep staff and talent separate and keep those tapings as sparse as you possibly can. He also points out that you may have noticed only so many talents have been brought in for TV, with many living locally in the Tampa and Orlando areas. WWE have apparently taken the CDC's social distancing guidelines very seriously, and if they broadcast the entire WrestleMania card over just one day, they would run into a lot of production issues, just in terms of the logistics of having so many talents, producers, staff and everything all in the same venue while trying to keep it, in line with the current restrictions. So it seems as though spacing it out over 2 days will make things a lot easier while also falling in line with what the CDC have recommended. But he's also got a secondary theory as well, which does also make sense to me, a less official one, less about adhering to certain guidelines and more just about the tone and the overall feel of the show. So Johnson goes on to say that the multiple locations will allow WWE to switch from place to place and keep the broadcast from looking and feeling monotonous. Of course, if you've watched Raw and SmackDown recently and also Dynamite last night, it could be a bit of a stretch to watch like a 6 to 8 hour show all in front of one empty arena with no crowd there. It could get very tedious and quite difficult to watch. But he also points out that it could also allow WWE to pre-tape material and even possibly some matches for insertion into the broadcast, as a closed set might make it easier for the company to keep those spoilers from leaking, because of course every year we seem to hear news of big, spoilers of huge results in some of the biggest matches. And finally he rounds off by saying that having a portion of the show pre-produced, almost shot like a movie and then stuck together and inserted into the final broadcast, could also glitz up the final product and allow the show to have a big grand feel, or as much of a big grand feel as they can do given the current circumstances, because of course this is still WrestleMania and you want all of the big, I guess, pomp and circumstance that typically comes with that event. Now moving on to another event, not WrestleMania, but another big WWE event that was on the horizon but has since been postponed. So WWE have officially announced that their big Madison Square Garden live event has moved from Sunday, March 22nd to a hopeful date in the future of Saturday, June 27th. Now you might be thinking, well, this is just a live event, why does it matter so much that this has been postponed? Well, it was supposed to be a big one. It was supposed to be a big live event that would build up along the road to WrestleMania. Obviously now it's taking place after WrestleMania, but it remains to be seen whether WWE will keep the card as pretty stacked as it was. It was stacked certainly for a house show. First of all, it was scheduled to have an appearance apparently by D-Generation X, not including of course Billy Gunn, because he's crossed the line. And also the show was supposed to include an NXT women's title match with Rhea Ripley defending against Bianca Belair. Now, well, obviously that match just might not happen because, well, Rhea Ripley might not even be NXT women's champion after WrestleMania. Although I hope she is. Really hope she is. Moving on now to Impact Wrestling news, because the latest inductee into the Impact Hall of Fame has been revealed over the past couple of days, and also Impact took to Twitter themselves to confirm the announcement, saying, "A legendary MMA fighter who blazed the trail for MMA fighters in professional wrestling, it is our incredible privilege to induct the first ever world champion in Impact history, Ken Shamrock, into the Impact Hall of Fame this year." Now you might be thinking, hang on, Ken Shamrock was the first world champion in Impact history. He was. Way back in, I believe, 2002, Shamrock was the first world champion under the Impact, or I guess it was called TNA then, under the Impact umbrella when he became the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. He won a gauntlet for the gold match, I believe. Oh, I remember it well. Shamrock is set to join a whole host of Impact legends, including Sting, Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, Earl Hebner, Gail Kim, Abyss, and Team 3D as well in that Impact Hall of Fame. But the announcement didn't go to plan, because this is professional wrestling. Yes, when Shamrock was brought to the ring on this week's Impact and it was revealed to him that he will be inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame, the video of his highlights on the Tron was hacked by Sami Callihan, who then attacked Ken Shamrock and beat him down, and I think may have even shot a fireball into his face. Sami Callihan, have you no decency? This man is being inducted into the glorious Impact Hall of Fame and you have snatched that moment away from him. Boo, I say. Surely it's going to lead to a match between the two, and surely you'd assume Sami Callihan's going to win, because I'm not trying to, guess too far ahead, but it seems like Shamrock may be winding down if they're inducting him into the Hall of Fame this year, even though he's still an active member of the roster. Just a thought. That's not based on any news reports or anything. That's just what I'm guessing. It's just speculation. Next up, WWE have announced that John Cena is releasing a new children's book in the Elbow Grease series, and it's going to be called Elbow Grease Fast, friends. Look at John Cena's Instagram for him to give a little taste of what elbow grease is all about. It's about a monster truck in a family of monster trucks, and he learns about hard work and teamwork and friendship and all that. You know what, genuinely sounds like pretty good children's literature, to be honest. Gives a lot of good lessons, as you'd expect from someone as wholesome as Big Match John. If you're a parent watching this and you might be thinking of buying the book for your child, don't worry, I've got the blurb here. I'm going to read a bit about it. This is from Elbow Grease Fast Friends. Elbow Grease and his monster truck brothers are hardly prepared when they meet Chopper, a speedy purple monster motorcycle. Ooh. Chopper wants to be friends with the brothers, who are more than impressed with her epic skills, but when the trucks start to get jealous of her talents, they must learn to overcome their frustrations and welcome a new friend into the group, especially when it's up to them to work together to save the day. Elbow Grease and the gang are back in another rip-roaring adventure in John Cena's third installment in the series. Now, to me, that story there with Elbow Grease, clearly Elbow Grease, well, I'm guessing, represents John Cena, and this new fancy motorcycle with all of her tricks and everything, that's probably one of these new flippy guys from the indie scene. It probably represents Will Ospreay or something, and Cena's got to learn to adapt and accept that into his world. I think Jim Cornette should read this book. And finally, a certain WWE superstar seems very unhappy with being left off of the updated WrestleMania poster. So you'll see on Instagram and various bits of social media that WWE have updated the WrestleMania poster. It's now got the 2 dates at the bottom of the graphic and everything. And it's also got certain figures on there who weren't previously. Well, one in particular, Rob Gronkowski, the new host of WrestleMania. So the poster features Gronk and Roman Reigns front and center, flanked by the likes of John Cena, Becky Lynch, Brock Lesnar, and Drew McIntyre. And Randy Orton on Instagram is not happy about being left off of that poster, no siree. On Instagram, he posted a photo of that poster and then included the caption, well, ain't that some bull, well, I can't say that word, but you get the gist. Hashtag, let me count the ways. I'm assuming this is a reference to one of two things, either Randy's years of service to WWE and all that he's put into the company over the years and all the big feuds he's had and everything like that, or it could also be a reference to specifically this year and the journey that he's undergone in his career over the past few months in this kind of electric feud with Edge, which is all leading up to that last man standing match at WrestleMania. So yeah, Orton doesn't seem very happy about that. But then is that a big shock? Because Randy Orton's never been shy of saying exactly what he wants to on social media. And it seems like he's in such a position in WWE these days after so many years, he can kind of get away with saying whatever he wants within reason. So that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching this news update. And don't worry, if you're looking for AEW Dynamite news from last night and all the goings on there, Tom will be along with a news video very shortly. And of course, if you want to know how good Dynamite was, then look out for my AEW Dynamite graded video coming out very soon today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in a bit.